Good Thursday afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Weather on the Go, all your weather coverage. We have a dangerous day ahead with a strong derecho producing complex of storms moving through the southern plains this afternoon and this evening. We'll get to everything you need to know about this storm complex in today's video, as well as a heat wave that builds stronger across the Great Plains and Midwest into next week. How hot will temperatures soar? And then the tropical weather update. Tropical waves ramping up. Could we see tropical storms or hurricanes brewing up in the eastern Pacific or the Atlantic basins? We'll get into those details later on in today's video. But first and foremost, if you are not yet subscribed to the channel and you are watching today's video, be sure to press the subscribe button down below so you stay updated on all of this dangerous severe weather ahead, the heat wave building, and the tropical weather update, as well as just general detailed weather breakdowns on North America, including southern Canada, the United States, and the tropics. It's free to subscribe down below. It costs nothing, and you guys get these detailed weather breakdowns each and every day. And it's also very important to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below the video. The more likes we get, the more people who are aware of the severe weather moving through and the weather pattern in general moving forward. So I appreciate all of the likes out there. But going back to yesterday, it was a very busy day on the severe weather front from Wednesday, June 14th. We had 233 wind reports, 3 of those being hurricane force wind gusts, 102 hail reports, 29 of those are actually over 2 inches in diameter. And then we had 10 reported tornadoes from Northeast Texas all the way into North Florida yesterday as well. That totals up to 345 severe weather reports as of yesterday. And I fear today will be a repeat here, if not worse. Then yesterday, we have a stationary boundary setting up across the Red River here into southern Oklahoma and North Texas, and this travels down here into the lower Mississippi Valley today, and this will trigger another moderate risk for severe weather. This is a level 4 out of 5, so this is more of an upper echelon type of severe weather setup today. That moderate risk runs across southwestern Kansas, the extreme northeastern Texas panhandle, western and central Oklahoma. This does include the Oklahoma City area, Norman, down to Lawton and Fort Sill, and then it gets down across the Red River into North Texas, just north of the Dallas-Fort Worth area toward Wichita Falls, and up toward the Denton area as well. But we do also have that enhanced risk, the level 3 out of 5, extending southward now to Paris, Texas, the Dallas, Arlington region, and Fort Worth. So we definitely have to stay on high alert across these areas. So with the initial storms and what these storms could bring to the table, we could be seeing some very big hail. Anywhere you see these dashed lines, that's where we could be seeing hailstones over 2, if not up to as much as 4 inches in diameter, folks. That's over softball size hail. So we could be seeing that later today anywhere in this vicinity where you see these hatch marks. We also have a formidable tornado threat as well. Anywhere you see the green, the brown, or the yellow shaded color, that's where you have a threat for tornadoes, especially in the brown and yellow shaded colors here. The highest tornado threat lining up there mostly into western portions of Oklahoma, just west of the Oklahoma City area. So Woodward, Oklahoma, down toward Fort Sill, Lawton, and those areas down there, we definitely could be concerned about a couple of tornadoes. 1 or 2 of those could be stronger tornadoes. So we'll continue to watch that as well. But the more focused, more widespread threat is of derecho impacts, where we could be seeing a progressive derecho move across the southern plains today. Anywhere in these hatch marks, we could be seeing winds of up to 100 miles per hour. So you definitely need to be on high alert later on today for the threat for widespread destructive winds across the southern plains. And looking at the most unstable CAPE, this is convective available potential energy, or thunderstorm fuel, if you will, across the southern plains. And look at this, it's up into the purples, even the magenta colors here. So that's up to around 4,000, pushing 5,000 joules per kilogram. This is almost off the charts instability and energy for storms to tap into. And look at this, guys. The lapse rate is really what got me when I was putting this video together today. This is almost off the chart lapse rate, especially this time of year. across Oklahoma, Texas, and western Arkansas. And what a lapse rate is as you go up in the atmosphere, the temperature naturally cools, but the faster it cools, the bigger the hailstones you could see. And that's why we could have the threat for up to 4-inch hail today across these areas into Oklahoma and North Texas. So we definitely have to take this seriously as well. So timing this out for you guys, it's quiet right now. So it's calm before the storm, 3 p.m. this afternoon. We're watching a couple isolated storms trying to billow up here off the Front Range and in towards the Central Plains, southwestern Kansas, back into northeastern portions of New Mexico. Possibly a severe storm out of this, otherwise not that big of a deal. The bigger deal will be late this afternoon, 4, 5, and then 6 o'clock toward the dinner time frame. We really need to keep eyes to the sky and have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings if you live into Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. These storms will erupt very quickly. They'll turn severe very quickly. And these initial storms will be very concerning for tornadoes and destructive hail of up to 4 inches in diameter. And we also could be seeing some 60 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts. But then as we go deeper into the evening hours, this will start to organize into a MCS or a mesoscale convective system or possibly a derecho. So we definitely have to be concerned about that through the Oklahoma City area, getting down here into the Dallas-Fort Worth metroplex. Still concerning for some very large giant hailstones up to 4 inches in diameter, as well as some tornadoes. But then we'll turn our attention to more of a widespread destructive wind threat across this region. And not everybody will see winds of 80 to 100 miles per hour, but there could be instances of up to 100 mile per hour wind gusts with this threat across portions of southern Oklahoma and into north Texas, especially through the mid-evening hours. And then this will press to the northeastern Texas towards Shreveport here and eventually into southwestern Arkansas later on this evening toward the midnight time frame. Okay, so definitely make sure you have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings if you live across the southern plains today. And look at this, is the maximum updraft helicity. And I wanted to show you this. This is where the most significant storms and updrafts will be. And the taller the updrafts, the bigger the hailstones could be. We could be seeing 50, 55, 60,000 foot updrafts today. That is some monstrous hail that could be falling across the southern plains. So we definitely have to keep this in mind moving through today. And it doesn't stop today. As we go into your Friday, opening up your Father's Day weekend time frame, that stationary boundary continues across the southern plains into the lower Mississippi Valley, and thus the severe weather threat prevails across those areas as well. Maybe just a little bit further to the north, we have a couple of slight risks, one up here into southeastern Colorado on Friday, into southwestern portions of Kansas, into the western Oklahoma panhandle there, and then another more focused area across the lower Mississippi Valley from Arkansas, the Little Rock area, down through Jackson, Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama, and towards portions of the Panama City region into Florida on Friday. And then on Saturday, we introduce more severe weather across the central and southern plains, the very same areas we're seeing severe weather as we go through today, and then that will shift again further to the east across the mid-south as we go into Father's Day on Sunday. So several days worth of severe weather from today all the way through at least Sunday, Father's Day on June 18th. So you definitely want to keep eyes to the sky and on the weather forecast as it does become more apparent in the days to come. But look at the rainfall amounts. This will be another threat in itself. Widespread heavy rain across portions of the central southern plains, east southeastward into the Tennessee Valley, and especially the southeast. We got hit hard yesterday across Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, and parts of North Florida with very heavy rain. I think we do it all over again today, all the way through Tuesday, June 20th, into early next week. And that's where the area I'm concerned for likely flash flooding from today through Tuesday is across Tennessee, into portions there of Arkansas, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, South Carolina, perhaps parts of far northern Florida. Yeah, we could be seeing likely flash flooding in those areas, with possible flash flooding extending back into Kansas, parts of Missouri, Oklahoma, and as far westward there as southern Nebraska or eastern Colorado as we go through early next week. So definitely keep that in mind as well. Looking at the upper level pattern and the temperature forecast, it does look like that ridge will begin to surge a little bit further to the north this weekend. So that will pull the severe weather further to the north at times into the central plains and the mid-south as we go into this weekend. But then as we go into next week, that upper level ridge takes off across the Great Plains, the Mississippi Valley, and the Midwest here. And we definitely see a true omega blocking pattern here where we have a trough in the west and a trough in the east or southeastern United States through next week. And this blocking pattern will be tough to break. So looking at this, temperatures will be into the 80s. And look at this, guy, triple digits, century mark temperatures down into south central Texas, the Rio Grande Valley on Saturday. That continues as we head into Sunday, Father's Day itself. We have some of the heat taking a little bit of a break for parts of the Mississippi Valley on Sunday, and that's due to the fact we have a little bit of a ripple in the jet stream, a little system moving through this weekend, not bringing too much rainfall, but we definitely could use any rainfall we can get across portions of Minnesota, Iowa, Missouri, Illinois, parts of Nebraska. Yeah, we need this rainfall going through this upcoming weekend. Even though we're not going to see a ton of it, yeah, there could be areas that get half an inch up to around an inch, inch and a quarter of rain if you're lucky. But other areas will miss out, like Wisconsin, northern Illinois, including Chicago, Milwaukee, up to Green Bay. It looks bone dry this upcoming weekend. Michigan looks dry, much of Indiana, Ohio, eastern Kentucky. Unfortunately, you guys are looking very dry through Father's Day weekend, and I know you guys need the rainfall because the updated drought monitor does show moderate drought becoming more widespread, even severe drought starting to develop just near the Chicago area on southward there. So we definitely need the rainfall. We have extreme drought starting to develop more into Missouri, so we really need the rainfall across these areas over the next couple of weeks to make up for the deficit. But going into next week, unfortunately, I'm not really seeing a lot of good news, unfortunately, on the precipitation front. But the temperatures, if you like summer weather, this is the forecast for you next week. This is Tuesday, June 20th. Temperatures will be surging into the 90s, not only through the United States here, but southern Manitoba, southeastern Saskatchewan, all the way up into Ontario. Yeah, it'll be hot. We could be touching into the lower 90s in parts of Ontario as we go into Tuesday. That pushes further east here as we go into late next week by Thursday. June 22nd, with those 90s stretching up through the Mississippi Valley, the Great Lakes, and into Quebec now as we go into Thursday. And yeah, we could be pushing 110, 112 degrees down into the Lubbock and Midland, Texas region, into West Texas as we go into the middle and late portion of next week. And the heat has staying power. So not only next week we see it the following week, going all the way through the very end of June here through at least June 28th. And I have a feeling probably through the 30th as well. We're going to have that heat stick around and that omega blocking pattern with the troughs on either side of the country. And this pattern, like I said, very hard to break. So we're going to see the precipitation chances remain over the very same areas likely that we have seen it for the past several weeks, with the Pacific Northwest seeing the rain, getting down through the Great Plains, and then southward across the Tennessee Valley and the East Coast, especially the Southeast. We will dry out a little bit across the Four Corners region into South Texas with the influence of that upper level ridge kind of centered across that region. And we hopefully can get some moisture up into the Midwest and Great Lakes. Right now, there's a signal we could see some precipitation towards the end of June, but it's not promising to be drought busting across these areas. But near normal precipitation, we definitely will take it as we get toward the end of June. Turning to the tropical weather update, we have a couple areas that have a 20% chance of development over the next 5 to 7 days across the eastern Pacific Ocean here, mainly south of Mexico. And you can see the first one here today trying to form here well off the open waters of the eastern Pacific Ocean, and it's really away from Mexico because we have that building high pressure system across Mexico into Texas as we go through today, keeping all of this underneath that, and that will push off to the west. And then we have a new area we'll watch as we go into the Father's Day weekend time frame. This is Father's Day Sunday on June 18th. A new system develops over the open waters, very similar path to the last one. But this one could be a little bit more potent and push further west into the middle of next week toward the 21st time frame. Yeah, we could see a tropical depression, maybe a low-end tropical storm try to spin up there over the open waters of the eastern Pacific Ocean. So we will have to keep an eye on that. Now turning to the Atlantic Basin, there is trouble brewing, and there is a 20% chance of a development area here In the MDR, this is the main development region here across the southern tropical Atlantic. This is well away from any source of land, so this is well east of the Lesser Antilles as well. But this is an area to keep an eye on over the next 7 to 10 days here, because in the MDR, the main development region, it is very warm and anomalously warm for this time of year. You see the deeper oranges and reds, and any system that can brew up in this region will take off probably with no land interaction as it pushes towards the Lesser Antilles and into the Caribbean as we go toward the end of June. Looking at this from an ensemble perspective, the EPS ensemble does support this, maybe just a little bit further south than some of the other ensembles, but definitely supporting that. It really just depends on where that Bermuda high pressure sets up. If it sets up a little further south, that'll push it southward towards South America here. But if it pushes a little bit further north, then we could have it like the GEFS shows, kind of curling up a little bit further to the north towards the Lesser Antilles and towards early next week. And then the same thing holds true on the GEPS model, the ensemble as well, with that supported here towards the west, but eventually potentially closing in on the Lesser Antilles later on next week. But we will be keeping an eye on this. Not much to talk about with this right now, just a wait and see. But yes, a 20% chance of development area in the MDR, the main development region here in the southern tropical Atlantic, off of the coast there of Africa towards the Lesser Antilles as we get into next week. Well, if you want additional weather forecast updates, including here this channel, this video, press the description down below the video and follow me on Twitter at hweather420. I definitely appreciate that. I post on there fairly frequently, so thank you so much for that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching each and every morning. I appreciate all the new subscribers, all the old subscribers, all the supporters on today's video on the channel. I appreciate that. If you like today's video, press the thumbs up button down below. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. I'll get to those later on today. Subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're new, and hit the notification bell to get all of my daily weather forecast updates on this channel. Have a great rest of your week, everybody, and I will see you all in the next video.